Welcome to Dodgers Dogs. As part of the Dodgers Daily Network, Casey Porter here. So glad you decided to tune in. Fans, today we have a fun show today, something we don't normally do here, but I have a little bit of time, and we've had a couple of days where we've broken down just about every trend I could possibly think of with the Dodgers. We've talked about the Ha-Seong Kim versus Alex Freeland thing, Dalton Rushing. We've talked about the injury to Mookie Betts. What do you do with Roki Sasaki? What do you do when Blake Snell comes back into the staff? Brock Stewart, by the way, Brock Stewart last night went back-to-back. And if you follow the way the Dodgers do things at all, whenever you have a guy in rehab that does the back-to-back, now keep in mind he only faced one hitter, so I'm a little bit more neutral on this one than I was with Blake Trinan last year when they went back-to-back with Blake Trinan. And basically all of their other pitchers that are on rehab, when they give their, especially, well, only the relievers, when they give their relievers that are on rehab back-to-back outings, that means typically speaking, either they're going to come up immediately or they're getting ready to. So I would say Brock Stewart, if it's not going to be immediately, Brock Stewart is very, very, very soon to come back to the Dodgers because he did have the back-to-back. When I say back-to-back, what I mean is he pitched on back-to-back nights. Now, keep in mind, he only threw to one hitter last night, so it wasn't like an extensive, back-to-back outings where he threw one inning each time. So I'm a little bit more neutral on exactly when that's going to happen, but we will see. Craig Osterberg's in the house. Hey, please say this is Casey. I miss. This is Casey. I miss so much. Yeah. This is Casey. I miss. Yes, I'm not exactly sure what that means, but yes, I am Casey, no doubt about it. And we're going to have a fun show. Josue De Paula and Zaire Hope went a combined 0 for 11 last night. Hey, it happens. They had both been hitting the ball, especially Zaire Hope had really been on especially a home run heater. He has 5 home runs, 3 to the pull side. Josue De Paula still a little bit above 300 on the season for AA Tulsa. Zaire Hope went under 300. He's in the 280s now. Patrick Copen gave the AA Tulsa Drillers a really good start, and then Jackson Ferris also gave the AAA Oklahoma City Dodgers the best start of the season for him. And keep in mind, with Jackson Ferris last year, I've got about 30 minutes. I've left the link in the chat there. I don't like being by myself. I have a ton of information on the Cardinals. We're going to break down Matthew Liberatore, who the Dodgers are going to face tonight. We're going to break down the key matchups. We're going to break down the records, what it's going to take for the Dodgers to win. What does Emmett Sheehan need to do to break down an explosive but inconsistent, not a rather lengthy Cardinals offense? What needs to happen for the Dodgers to win Game 1 tonight and as we move forward in with the Cardinals series? I'm excited about it because Busch Stadium, St. Louis on a Friday night in the Big Town will be exciting. But Jackson Ferris did a good job last night for the AAA Oklahoma City Comets. He gave them a very good outing. Great Lakes, they won a doubleheader. Remember, their Wednesday game was postponed. So they won both games yesterday. And then Ontario, not a great game for them last night. So the Dodgers within the system last night, it was a lot of fun. Although the big Dodgers didn't play yesterday, fun to follow the minor league system. And as of today, everybody is back in action, including the Dodgers at Busch Stadium. So again, the link to the show is right up there. You have it. I know Ela Shiva has joined before. Craig, thank you for joining in the house. Showtime LA, good morning to you. Good morning, Gregory. Hey, it's audio only. If you haven't joined the show before, come on in. I love talking to my Dodgers dogs, and I love getting a good conversation going. And I hate sitting here talking about myself, but I will if I have to. So let's break into some of what I have. And again, I have about 30 minutes. I have till about 9:45 till I got to get out of here. And I just wanted to say also, I'm going to have a Down on the Farm segment, a separate attached Down on the Farm segment. I think that's what I'm going to start doing is separately attaching the Down on the Farm shows from these Dodgers Dog shows, the live shows here. So be looking for the Down on the Farm separate show, I'd say around maybe 2 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. So I'll have that ready to go by about that time. So how about Emmett Sheehan tonight? Emmett Sheehan comes in and to Busch Stadium on the road. And as Mark mentioned yesterday, the first time the Dodgers at the beginning of the year when they were struggling offensively went on the road, got things really going, and about a week or two later, they were the best offense in baseball, and it wasn't close. So let's kind of hope that happens again. They have the ability. Matthew Liberatore is not overpowering. He's a guy. It's going to be a very interesting matchup tonight between Liberatore and this Dodgers offense, because Liberatore is going to rely on command. He's going to rely on location. He's going to rely on changing speeds, and he's going to rely on shaping different pitches to create weak contact, of which that's an interesting dichotomy. That's a bigger word than I think I am eligible to use, because I don't think I'm smart enough to use a word that big. But that is interesting because he's given up 8 home runs on the year, and guess what the Dodgers do, okay? This is going to be somebody has to win, because it's Liberatore's command inside the strike zone, control by throwing strikes to begin with, getting ahead in counts, controlling counts, and then commanding sequencing from there, versus the Dodgers' discipline. Because I'm just telling you, you're going to watch Liberatore tonight, and he's really going to rely on the Dodgers biting on the borderline pitches that aren't on the white but are on the black. He's going to rely on the Dodgers once he gets ahead in the count and he sequences pitchers pitching type of sequences. He's going to rely on the Dodgers to chase the strike to ball concepts, meaning a pitch coming out of his hand that looks like a strike that ends up a ball. So the game plan for Liberatore, no doubt about it, is to mix up multiple pitches for strike one, right? And get ahead and count, work counts to where then he can sequence from there to the ball to strike concept. So let me say this a little plainly. I'm kind of rambling on here. So strike one's going to be whatever pitch he wants to throw. It's going to be needed to locate on the black. So the Dodgers are going to have a couple choices. Do you want to hit a pitch that's on the perimeter of the strike zone and take the chance of making a lot of weak contact early in counts? If the Dodgers do that, one of two things are going to happen. They're either going to adjust to the perimeter type pitching for Liberatore. They're going to ambush him, and they're just going to clobber him with base hits. That's option number one. Option number two is that the Dodgers swing at a lot of those borderline pitches that are many times on the black, maybe a baseball or two off the plate, and they have a lot of weak contact, and they make a lot of early outs. That is doomsday for the Dodgers tonight. That is exactly the game plan for Matthew Liberatore, is to throw it to the perimeter. Hopefully the Dodgers are aggressive early in the count, and they miss their barrels, and they hit a lot of weak contact balls, make a lot of early outs. Matthew Liberatore can stay on the game for a long time at that point. So I think that's the first cat and mouse game to watch tonight, is are the Dodgers going to be aggressive early in counts off of the borderline stuff that Liberatore throws out there. Then the next cat and mouse game is, if Liberatore gets ahead in the count, can the Dodgers lay off the strike to ball stuff that he's going to throw to home plate? Meaning the stuff that comes out of the hand as a strike, breaks out of the zone, ends up at the ball. So if the Dodgers aren't aggressive early, they get down in counts, then the cat and mouse game moves to, can they lay off the strike to ball concepts? I think either way, okay, if you're aggressive early and you make a lot of not weak contact, that's good. Or even if you're not aggressive early, but then you lay off the strike to ball concepts, climb back into counts, I think either way the Dodgers have a really good chance of having a lot of success against Liberatore, just simply because his stuff's not overpowering. He's going to have to outcraft the Dodgers, if you will. He's going to have to get a lot of weak contact. And to be honest with you, in crisis moments, with the Dodgers, they haven't had a lot of hits with runners in scoring position lately, but they have gotten quite a few runners on base. In those crisis moments when the Dodgers get a lot of guys on base, who is going to win those big moments when he's trying to sequence and pitch, trying to create weak contact, not being able to overpower the Dodgers? Those are the keys to how the Dodgers do against Matthew Liberatore tonight. I think those are the things to look out for. In terms of Emmett Sheehan, obviously it's the exact opposite for him. He's the power profile type of pitcher that we know about, the ride and run four-seam that actually acts like a two-seam, the developing changeup, and a really good slider, so a good three-pitch mix there. 2-0 on the season for Emmett Sheehan, 4.78 ERA. But we know the last outing was elite, and the last outing being elite was not a surprise because the outing before that we mentioned he was throwing first strikes with 3 different pitches at a very high clip. And I can just tell you this, the St. Louis Cardinals are not very good at the bottom of the line. Hey, they're capable. So what the Cardinals offense is going to have to do against Emmett Sheehan is that they're going to have to pile on hits. You never know. Baseball, the best laid plans never seem to work out. But the way that the Cardinals offense is set up, they're likely not going to be consistent throughout the lineup. They're likely not going to score consistently throughout the game. So when they have their 1 or 2 chances to strike against Emmett Sheehan, now that's all prefaced by the fact that Sheehan actually throws well and he's throwing strikes. Now, if Emmett Sheehan gives away a lot of free baseball, then that changes everything. This is all prefaced on Emmett Sheehan doing what he's supposed to do and throwing the ball well correctly, right? So the key is going to be, can the Cardinals take advantage of the couple of opportunities that they have? Because to be honest with you, the Cardinals offense is not, it's not real lengthy. It's kind of the way that I'm looking at that. So Jordan Walker, 906 OPS. Don't let Jordan Walker slug against you. 9 home runs. So stay away from the long ball with Jordan Walker. On base percentage of 378 for JJ Weatherholt. So keep Weatherholt off the base. OPS of 857 for him. Alec Burleson, 801 OPS, and Ivan Herrera on base percentage of 420. So they have some guys that get on base. Jordan Walker can hit home runs. Nolan Gorman is a really good player, but their power is inconsistent, and that's going to be determined by 2 things. How well Emmett Sheehan throws strike one, like he's been doing very well lately, to control counts, and then once he controls counts, how many mistakes does he make or not make, right? So 2 things, get ahead, and then once you're ahead, control the count and don't make mistakes. I know that sounds simple. Strikeout heavy profiles for Nolan Gorman. There is a chance that Emmett Sheehan, if he gets ahead in the count tonight, could pile up a lot of strikeouts. The bottom third of the lineup for the Cardinals is not that good. So another thing is, if you're careful with the middle lineup, if you just don't give up the long ball to Jordan Walker, okay, if you challenge Weatherholt and keep him off base, but even if you just allow Weatherholt or some of their good on-base guys to get on base and start some rallies, I think Emmett Sheehan's stuff is overpowering enough to where he can work his way out of crisis moments, because I think the Cardinals run out of good hitting pretty fast at the bottom of the lineup, and I think Sheehan will be able to, again, all prefaced by, hey, he needs to throw well, obviously, but if he does that, I think he'll be able to work his way out of certain situations just simply because I think he's going to be able to overpower the bottom of the lineup for the Cardinals. So it's a strong strikeout scenario for Emmett Sheehan. It's a strong strikeout profile for the Dodgers pitching staff overall. It's a team in the St. Louis Cardinals that, especially with certain guys, and a lot of times their best power guys, the cat and mouse is their high profile, their high strikeout guys too, versus and facing high strikeout type pitchers for the Dodgers. So that's the cat and mouse game there in terms of the Dodgers pitching versus the Cardinals. Is, can the bottom third of the lineup for the Cardinals lengthen this, and can they not get overpowered by the Dodgers power pitchers? And will the Dodgers power win, or will the Cardinals, their power offensively, defeat the power of the Dodgers power pitching? So I think that's kind of a cat and mouse game there. So Dodgers 2011, first in the National League West, half a game above the San Diego Padres. Consistent. I know, hey, they've been, believe it or not, I know we just lost a home series to the Marlins. I get it. But to be honest with you, the Dodgers have been very consistent in winning series. It'll be surprising to me. Hey, the Cardinals, 18-13. They've been a good team, third third place in the NL Central, which is a very, 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 very good division. So the third place thing doesn't matter as much to me as the 18 and 13. Very competitive team with the Cardinals. Though I think more competitive than even Cardinals fans probably even expected this year. So inconsistent, though. There's a lot of inconsistencies to them. Hopefully the Dodgers can exploit those, like the strikeouts offensively, like Liberatore not being an overpowering pitcher. So, I mean, I think, again, some of the big matchups, the right-handed bats of the Dodgers, we're going to see how the Dodgers right-handed bats do against Liberatore. Cardinals lefties versus Sheehan. That's an advantage for the Cardinals there. Early innings, Emmett Sheehan has struggled in the early innings, so can he stay away from the early inning ambushes? And then, obviously, the bullpen. What bullpen are the Dodgers going to get? As a matter of fact, Emmett Sheehan, a 9.0 ERA in the first inning. So I think you're going to see Friday night in the big time with the St. Louis Cardinals. They're going to come out with their hair on fire. They're going to try to get to Emmett Sheehan early. They're going to be very aggressive with Emmett Sheehan early, and they're going to try to exploit the fact that Emmett Sheehan, if he struggled, has been early in games. 10 strikeouts against the Cubs. Emmett Sheehan is very good against right-handed hitters, just a 132 average against so far. So the right-handed hitters of St. Louis should have a tough time with him. Attack Nolan Gorman, okay? Mason Wynn, elevated fastballs. Look for this too. Here's just kind of a under the hood what to look for to Nolan Gorman and the right-handed hitters. Emmett Sheehan, the high fastballs. Can he locate them to a spot up in the zone that's not hittable? It's high enough up in the zone that doesn't give up home runs, but it's also not so high where it becomes uncompetitive to where they just lay off of it and it becomes a ball. I think the high fastball of Emmett Sheehan to the right-handed hitters of the Cardinals is a big one there. And then you have to be more cautious with the lefties, like Alec Burleson, Ivan Herrera. Use more caution. Go right at Nolan Gorman, Mason Wynn with high fastballs. More cautious to the lefties that could do damage on mistake pitches like Alec Burleson, Ivan Herrera. Got to rack up a lot of strikeouts, especially in key spots whenever the lineup starts going to the bottom third of the lineup for the Cardinals. Matthew Liberatore, again, 0-1 on the season, 4.75 ERA, 155 whip. So he allows a lot of hits. He allows a lot of guys on base. Again, that goes back to saying I think the Dodgers are going to have a chance to put a lot of guys on base. And then once they do, Liberatore's not going to have stuff that can overpower them. So low strikeout rate, only 19 strikeouts and 30.1 innings for Liberatore, 298 average against. So again, a chance to rack up some walks if you don't swing at the borderline pitches and the strike the ball concepts. A chance to gather a lot of hits, 298 average against for Matthew Liberatore. And here's the big one. Liberatore is terrible when the other team gets ahead and counts. As a matter of fact, the batting average against him is 351 whenever he gets behind in the count. So again, that cat and mouse game, just don't swing at those borderline pitches early and see if he can land them. I think that's probably the game plan for the Dodgers, is to make Liberatore prove that he can throw strikes. If you can get in the head in the count against him, 351 average, and that's because his stuff's not explosive. Get into hitters' counts and see what you can do there. And also, the left-handed bats for the Dodgers tonight, Max Muncy, probably Dalton Rushing, Freddie Freeman, guys like that, they need to do, like Kyle Tucker, they have a chance to do a lot of damage. 387 Liberatore is against lefties, 267 against righties, so it's not like he's great against righties either, but he is terrible against lefties. So, hey, this needs to be a coming out party tonight for Kyle Tucker. It needs to be a get good for Freddie Freeman. I wouldn't be surprised if Dalton Rushing finds some at-bats tonight because of Liberatore splits against lefties. And so Max Muncy needs to have a good night. And also Liberatore is not a good night pitcher, right? 7.20 ERA at night. 5 earned runs in his last outing against Seattle, 3.1 3.1 innings pitched there. So I think this is the matchup that heavily favors the Dodgers tonight. We'll see how that goes, though, and we'll see how that plays out. Hi, Coach. I like the Dodgers to come back and today and win, no doubt about it. So it's not really a team approach as much as individuals trying to get let's see. Casey, what do you think of the concept of early part of the season hitters are padding numbers? I've heard it referenced to an arbitration hitting. Well, the problem with that is, Tony, is that the stats vary so wildly that if you look at stats, you can fret over that. I don't know exactly what that means in terms of trying to pad stats early in the season, because it's the full season stats that are gonna win arbitration cases and or get you the new contracts. But I'll say this: getting off to a good start certainly helps the mentality, because it's just hard to look at stats early on when they can sway so badly one way or the other. So that's why I have a concept, and I've heard this from many different major leaguers. Talk to me in June, and what that means is I don't even look at stats. I don't even think about stats. It doesn't even enter my mind until June, because by the time you get into June, you have enough sample size to where the stats don't swing so far one way or the other. So I would say the vast, all of the professionals I've ever talked to, they subscribe to the theory of talk to me in June. We'll see how that goes. Yes, Chuck Davalin, I'll cover him probably. I think I covered him in yesterday's Down the Farm. 3 multi-homer games this year. For a guy that likes to have a flat path to the ball, at least with his hands, that typical flat path to the ball with your hands, turn the barrel down to the ball with your top hand, lift in front. Charles Davalin, great athlete, super big competitor, high energy, high motor guy. Love Charles Davalin. Hey, Alan Minerva tore a chest back muscle from violent coughing from pneumonia. Oh my gosh, I can barely breathe. It's a pain. I never heard of people tearing chest muscles. And what's the average recovery? I have no idea, Al. I'll be keeping you in my thoughts as far as that goes. That's terrible. Hey, I wouldn't be shocked to see a Muncie homer tonight. Any chance the Dodgers hit on this road trip? I think V-Track tonight is a really good chance. There's a very specific game plan against Liberatore that is suited to the Dodgers' strength. Don't swing at the borderline pitches. Get into hitters' counts, and then once you do a lot of damage, because Liberatore is not overpowering. I think there's a chance. Hey, again, all best laid plans never seem to work out properly, so we'll see how that goes. But I do think tonight sets up, from a game plan perspective, to be a big night offensively for the Dodgers. But if it's not, again, remember I said the best laid plans don't always work in baseball, so don't be cussing me by about the 5th inning if the Dodgers aren't hitting, because I'm not guaranteeing that's going to happen. I'm just saying it sets up to be that way. How will the Dodgers make roster room for Betts and Edman when they return? And let me do this. I'm going to copy this. Why don't you come on into the chat here? That's the link to the chat right there. Audio only. We will not look at your video, so don't worry about that. Come on in. Give us your thoughts. Give us your questions, whatever it may be. How will the Dodgers make roster room for Betts and Edman when they return? The Betts situation, I think, is pretty easy. I think that's between Alex Freeland and Hyesung Kim. The first time around, they chose Alex Freeland. I'm going to say it again. I was wrong in the offseason. Austin was correct. They chose Freeland. I thought they would choose Hyesung Kim. I think they're going to choose Hyesung Kim this time. I think Alex Freeland would be the one to go. If not, I don't think anybody else on the roster is a potential DFA candidate to remove from the 26. So unfortunately, I think one of the Hyesung Kim, Alex Freeland, I think one of those two will have to come down to AAA. And while I don't think so here's what it's going to come down to. Who is the one that you think is actually the better major league player right now? I would say that guy is Hyesung Kim, versus who is the player that stands to improve the most at AAA that also is Hyesung Kim. So the complexities in that decision is Hyesung Kim, yes, he's the best major league player at this very moment, but he also stands to improve the most at the AAA level, so that it doesn't make it clean cut. It would be really easy if you could say, hey, one guy's the best major league player and the other guy could stand to make the most amount of improvement at the AAA level. That makes your decision for you. But when it's the same guy on both accounts, that muddies the water. Because, yes, you wouldn't mind sending Ha-Seong Kim to AAA for the fact that he could work on the high pitch, the strikeout totals, that kind of thing at the AAA level. And then you hate to send Alex Freeland to AAA because he's shown the plate discipline metrics. He's shown all of the abilities to do the things to put him in the best position to gather hits. Now he just needs to use all of that, and let's see if he can actually do it at the major league level. So everything that you need to find out about Alex Freeland needs to be at the major league level, but yet Ha-Seong Kim has been the better player. I don't think it's close. So that is a really muddied up decision. I don't think the Dodgers have made their mind up yet. I still think they're evaluating things. I think it would probably be Hess. I think what would win the day would be, okay, we've seen both guys at the major league level. Who has been the best major league player to this point? And then when Tommy Edman gets back, I have no idea what they're going to do. Alex Call has been good. You know, one part of this is maybe you could trade an Alex Call, somebody like that, to keep a Ha-Seong Kim on the roster. So who's it going to be? I'll just say this. If Ha-Seong Kim keeps hitting around 300, keeps playing good defense, it would be very difficult for it to be him, and that will be a very, very, very difficult that'll be a very difficult decision to make, one that the Dodgers obviously haven't made, and they're going to continue to evaluate the runway that Ha-Seong Kim is getting right now. So I don't mean to punt that question, but you kind of have to, because so if it happened right today, I think at this moment, Ha-Seong Kim and Alex Freeland would be the two that get sent down. But you never know how things are going to play out before Tommy Edman gets back. The Dodgers will take all of that into the equation, and they will make that tough decision. So I didn't punt it in the sense that I gave you my answer, how I would handle it if it happened tomorrow, but then I punted it saying, giving myself the wiggle room to where, hey, if this happens, there's still runway. I give myself the ability to change my mind based on what happens between now and then. Guessing Jake Eder will be optioned or DFA'd for Brock Stewart, no doubt about it. He is that up-and-out guy. The AAA Oklahoma City team this year has more quad-A depth. This is what a AAA roster looked like 10, 15 years ago. When the Dodgers first took over Oklahoma City, the Oklahoma City roster went from a bunch of quad-A guys like we're seeing this year to one of the youngest AAA rosters in all of minor league baseball. This year is more of that quad-A type deal. They realize they have a chance to win a three-peat. It's all about winning that three-peat and way less about the development, because you're in that window to continue to win. You want to do that. So the Dodgers have loaded up guys like Cole Irvin, Jake Eder, Ryan Fitzgerald. They just acquired Tyler Fitzgerald, guys like that, Jack Sawinski, Michael Ciani. They have a ton of quad-A depth down there. And that quad-A depth is exactly what Showtime is mentioning here. With that quad-A depth is what you do with Jake Eder, is you bring him up. If you need to fill in for a game or two, you let him fill in there. Then when you want the 40-man roster spot back, you DFA him. You either find a trade partner for him, or he just he clears waivers and he gets outrighted to AAA Oklahoma City, and he either accepts that assignment or he doesn't. I totally agree. That would be the plan for Jake Eder. Call made an error on a bad throw and got picked off so far. So far his bat is good enough, though. And here's another thing about Alex Call, is he provides something that the Dodgers need. Hitting against left-handed pitching, right? And then also bat-to-ball skills, high on base, and just a batting average type guy. So it's not just the production for an Alex Call that gives him an advantage. It's the profile that he brings, where it fills in a lot of the holes that the Dodgers need filled in, which would be hitting against left-handers, bat-to-ball, on-base percentage, high batting average, and then also major league experience. So I can't imagine any world where Alex Call ever gets DFA'd off of this team if he just continues to do what he is doing right now. No doubt about it. You cannot have too much pitching. I'm super excited about this game in St. Louis. I've been very disappointed. St. Louis has always forever been one of the best fan bases in baseball in a discussion. They've always filled up the old Busch Stadium, the new Busch Stadium, and just seeing the crowds in the last couple of years in St. Louis has really hurt my heart. My best friend in the world, Eddie Days, only first-round draft pick ever out of Guthrie. He was drafted in the first round by the Cardinals in 1972. He played in the Cardinals system for a decade, and if you've never heard of him, it's because they had a pretty good catcher at that time named Ted Simmons. He just texts me over and over like, man, it just breaks my heart to see the terrible crowds they've had. So with the Cardinals being 18-13, with the Dodgers coming into town, Shohei Ohtani, the circus that the Dodgers are, I think it's going to be Friday night in the big town with St. Louis tonight. I think Busch Stadium's going to be fired up. I think it's going to be full. And I think those Cardinals fans are going to be maniacal, if you will. They're going to be lathered up and ready to go for the Dodgers. And seeing that Emmett Sheehan struggles, especially in the first inning, they're going to be ready to swing the bats in the bottom of the first, and they're going to want to make a statement almost immediately to the Dodgers and Emmett Sheehan. So let's see if we can survive that first inning and kind of let the odds of everything else take over. So, hey, that's about all I got for today. I know this was a very, very, very short show. I apologize for that. That's all the time I have for today. Again, keep in mind, this isn't the only content that I have coming out today, though. I will have a Dodgers Down on the Farm segment coming out, I'd say about 1:30 Pacific time. And then also over the weekend, I'm going to release interviews with Jack Sawinski and Michael Ciani. So be looking for those interviews. Can't wait to release those. Probably going to release those Sunday morning. So be looking for those two interviews on Sunday morning. Be looking for the Dodgers Down on the Farm about 1:30 this afternoon. So until then, I want to thank everybody for tuning in. It's been a great crowd and a great show. And until next time, go Dodgers. And as always, it's a great day to be a Dodger.